Okay. Thank you, sir.
Cooperatives have got 7 principles, golden 7 principles. One is the open membership. Because it's an open membership, therefore the constitution has been amended, giving a fundamental right. Formation of cooperative society is now a fundamental right. Lot of, Gujarat, if you know, they were doing something called only community-based society also can be done. But now in the constitution it says it's a fundamental right. Lot of registrars used to refuse the registration of societies. So now formation of society or the registration of society is a fundamental right. So that is one. Second, there is open membership. Second principles of cooperation is democratic setup, democratic control. When I say democratic setup, what do you mean by democracy? Democracy means there has to be free and fair election. So anybody can get elected. So unless until there is free and fair election, so it cannot happen. So the second principle is rather upheld by the constitution, saying that there has to be separate election authority. If the society is of the people, that is of the members, for the members, by the members, and of the members. So therefore, the way we say democracy has to be done through the election process, whether it is a BMC election, whether it is a Gram Panchayat election, whether it is your assembly and parliament. Similarly, why not the societies, which is governed by their own members? So there are lobbies. They don't allow others to come. They will create some hassle and they create a lobby. Therefore, there has to be free and fair election. Therefore, a separate, each state is required to constitute a separate state election authority, cooperative election authority, and therefore now there is a election authority constituted for Maharashtra. So whether it is 10 member society, whether it is 1000 member society, whether it is a credit society, whether it is a bank, so you are all governed by the cooperative principle, governed principles of cooperation. So therefore, different states have a different philosophies of election, and once in 5 years. So some, if you know, in housing society, once in a year election takes place, some society once in 3 years, and then some credit society election is done by the registrar, and banks election is done by the, collector. So different people used to do the different. So there has to be some side of, uniformity. And therefore the constitution said, let there be a democratic setup, and to implement that democratic setup, this is done. Many of you will agree that if there is a society, whether it is a credit society, let me tell you. So the society committee which is formed at the time of formation of society about 30 years back, same committee gets re-elected once in 5 years, and the same body gets, interchanged, and nobody gets a chance, and that means it becomes more like their own monopoly. In a housing society, the people, the committee which is set up in the first provisional committee, and after 30 years also they will say, I am the founder chairman, I am the founder secretary, and they will only dominate. And as if they know everything, the rest of the people they don't know. And therefore, there has to be proper participation. And free and fair election can happen only when there is an outsider coming, and once in a 5 years at least, let there be systematic things. At least let there be, who are the member, who have voting right, who is not having voting right. That is to confirm that. So this is a second principle. So you tell me, when looking at this background, don't you think that separate setup of election authorities is good or bad? It is really good. The problem is that it has to be independent. But the government says we don't have the machinery to have an independent. Therefore, same registrar is given the power, which is wrong. If somebody goes to the High Court challenging this, delegation of power to the deputy registrar, I think it will have the validity. Because how can the registrar himself be a regulator? He himself should be the election authority. Because there has to be two different things. It is separate setup. Now, but when I checked up with the election officer, that commissioner, he says, where is the machinery we have? So we have to give somebody additional charge. So we are giving them the additional charge. So there is a clash of interest. But anyhow, that right now there is a separate election authority who is controlling all this. So looking at the setup, it is a good one. But now looking at the small society, it is difficult. Now looking at the housing society, it may be difficult. But when you look at the credit society, look at a bank, look at the sugar factory, look at the dairy society, I think it's a good setup. Good, and where there are 100, 200 members, where people want to come up, but the existing people do not allow you to come. So secret ballot. See, if you know that there was a vice vote in the general body, So when we took the objection in the newspaper and all, and when we moved the agitation, then the commissioner came out with the circular saying that it has to be secret ballot. Now if there is a contest, it will be through a secret ballot only. Only thing it will be happening in the general body. So these are second principles of cooperation which is upheld. Third principles of cooperation, which is economic participation. What do you mean by economic participation? Economic participation means every member of a society is the owner of the society, and being a owner of the society is the receiver of the services provided by the society, whether receiving a product in the form of consumer store or receiving the service in the form of loan or deposit or interest, or in the case of housing society as a member he receives all the common services. So he is the owner, also he is the receiver of the service. So 10 member society, 10 members are the owner of the society, flat owners, and they are the collectively owner of the entire society. Ultimately, these are the 10 people who represent the managing committee of 5 people, and these 5 people again give the service to these 5 people plus another 5 people who are additional. So this way, the receiver and the giver are the same person, and therefore we say that there has to be if you want to be a member of a society, then there has to be economic participation. Why this has been thought? What do you mean by economic participation? That means a member who is going to be a member of a society, he should actively take part in the business activity of the society. If he is not taking part in the business activity of the society, then because it is a business enterprise. If he is not taking part in the business activity, then he is not an active member, and he has no right to continue in the membership. Now the question may arise, now like a credit society, what is the active member, or what is the economic service he can receive? One is either he should keep a deposit in the credit society, or he should take the loan. So suppose he is neither taking a loan or taking a deposit, but he has 10 rupees share, which he gave at the time of formation of the society. Last 30 years he comes once in a year just to elect his own relative or the person who has promoted him to the society. So he is neither receiving the loan, nor he is giving a deposit, not taking any service of the society, and he is holding 10 rupees share, and he is continuing to be the member, and he comes, neither he takes part in the general body. So where is the question that he is not an active member, then what right he has to continue in the society? So therefore, economic participation means the constitution has provided, and that has come in the act, that the member should receive minimum service or the product as prescribed in the bylaws. So if he is not subscribing to that product or buying that product, or he is not subscribing to that service of a society once in 5 years, minimum service which is prescribed in the bylaw, then he is treated as non-active. Similarly, he should be taking active participation in the business, that is business in the general body. Let us 5 general bodies or 7 general bodies in the 5 years happens, at least he should attend 1 general body meeting. So if he is not able to attend even 1 general body meeting, there is no meaning. So therefore, he should be active. If he does both the things, then he becomes an active member. So economic participation is the third principle. Fourth principle is autonomous and independent, which is very good. Now if you see, these are internationally accredited, all these principles, but almost all the societies had a lot of political interference, a lot of registrar's interference. Now, if society is going to be autonomous, then why the registrar should appoint the auditor? And why the registrar should appoint the administrator? There is no need. So therefore, now, if the society is going to be autonomous and independent body, then that general body appoint the auditor, which is in the panel or in the having a prescribed qualification. So therefore, now the society has to appoint the auditor, whether it's a bank, whether it's a credit society, whether it's anybody. Now appointment of the auditor has to be done by the society, general body. Now the registrars want to, very sorry to say, they also look at some avenues. So what they have done, by 30th, September, you have to appoint the auditor from the panel, and within 1 month you have to upload your consent on the website, and within 30 days if you don't give, or if the society does not appoint the auditor, which means registrar gets the right. And once the registrar gets the right, now the registrar gets the right to appoint the auditor. So society loses. So this is another issue. Now if you see 25th, because Rakesh called me, that is I will discuss on E. So he called me, sir 25th तो मुझे एक SMS आया है कि ऑडिट ऑर्डर आप जनरेट करो. तो ये ऑडिट ऑर्डर जनरेट क्या होता है? मैं यार मैं फोन में नहीं बता सकता, आप मीटिंग लगाओ तो मैं आता हूँ, है ना? तो that is how today's meeting is done. There is e-filing. So everything has been now done the electronically. E-filing, e-Sarkar has been done. I will go to that website also. So e-Sarkar, in that within 30 days from the date of your appointment, मतलब 30 September is the general body, उसका 30 दिन के अंदर आपको अपना कंसेंट के साथ सोसाइटी का जनरल बॉडी का रेजोल्यूशन के साथ you have to upload on the website. And if you don't do, then your appointment is treated as null and void. So then you will not be the auditor, then the registrar gets the right to audit. So this is where the interference they have done. Otherwise, actually they could have said that if it is not done, like you can levy the penalty, late fees, the way MCA, we have Ministry of Corporate Affairs. They could have done that. But instead of doing that, the registrar wants to still keep a control. That is a very, very bad, pathetic condition. Secondly, they are not supposed to appoint the administrator. Because now the society is going to manage the affairs themselves. So where is the question? Because neither government has given any aid. So why they should? Because it's an autonomous body. So he is regulating. So every time if somebody complains and if the certain thing has gone and then they want to appoint the administrator and take the control. So the constitution has mandated that there will not be any appointment of administrator where there is no government aid. But unfortunately, now in the act it is said that you cannot appoint the administrator where there is no government. But at the same time, they have made certain provisions which I will just list down. One, you are not doing a general body by 30th September. Okay, you have failed in your duty. So the registrar will dismiss the entire committee. Just because you have not had the general body by 30th September, whatever may be the reason, you have failed in discharging your duty. There is no extension granted. So therefore, the entire committee is dissolved and he gets the right to appoint an authorized officer. Instead of administrator, now they are calling as an authorized officer, and that authorized officer will be there for 6 months. Within 6 months, he can conduct the election, and the committee who has failed to conduct the general body meeting, so next 5 years he is disqualified. So not only that you are dismissed, so now it is draconian than the M20 bond. In M20 bond you are dismissed, but you are not disqualified for next 1 term. So here the registrar has got that right. Here I am saying how they are misusing the power. So second thing, suppose 20 or more members, give a letter to the committee saying that we want to discuss so and so, call the general body meeting. And within 30 days from the date of receipt of your letter, you are supposed to call the special general body meeting under section 76. Suppose you don't call, then what happens? You have failed to perform the statutory duty. Because calling a general body every year, AGM, is a statutory duty. Similarly, getting the audit done is also statutory duty. And if you fail to do the audit also, you have failed in statutory duty. You have failed to call a special general body meeting within 30 days from the date of making 20% people giving you a letter. So they can be dismissed, entire committee, and then disqualified for 1 year. So these are the 3 things where fourth thing, where you and I will have a lot of professional opportunity. That is mandate return. I think she must have discussed about it. There are 6 mandate return which has to be uploaded. And that should be uploaded by 30th September of the close of the year for the earlier year. Now, if you don't do that, again, you have failed in your duty. And there is a 5,000 rupees fine also, and you will be dismissed. The officer will be appointed, and then what happens is
committee will be dismissed as for this matter.
The person who is responsible. Now, the secretary will not take the responsibility, or you and I will have to tell them, okay, you do one thing, you appoint so and so person, authorized person to do this job. So then that authorized person should be reminded by the committee. Have you done it? If you are not done, so then they have to give a letter, all 5 members. If there are 4 people, they have to give a secretary letter. Have you done it? If you are not done, you will be held responsible. So a job responsibility will be fixed. And if it is proved that he is the person, particular person, he has failed discharge, then he may be dismissed, but and disqualified. But it is also possible that in the society what happens, we don't document properly. So in all chances, the entire committee will be held responsible. And most important, once in 5 years there is an election, and 6 months prior to the date of holding the election, expiry of date. So you have to inform the registrar along with the list of voters that election is due in the month of, let us say, September. By March he should give 6 months. Suppose you don't intimate this to the registrar and you don't upload information on the website, then again you have failed in bringing the new committee. Okay, and therefore you are again failed in duty, so it will be considered as offence and it will be dismissed and disqualified. So these are the various where the things are made complicated, and as an auditor, as a consultant, we can always guide the housing society or any type of society in the good one. So I was talking about fourth principle, and fifth principle is professional management is separate. Fifth principle is about training, education and training. So education and training is another thing where there has to be professional management, the education has to be given. So therefore education fund has been separately generated. Earlier the society used to collect 3 rupees per member, and for credit society and the other things were there, and it was given to Maharashtra Rajya Sahkari Sangh, who is supposed to conduct the training program. What they used to do, they used to collect the money, but never and ever they used to do the training. And even if they do the training, they used to show that training is done and the money is to be spent. But therefore now the mandate is given, they are notified about 10 to 12 state associations or the forums where the society themselves have to pay the money and get the training done. So the training has to be done either in the society or in the institutes which is recognized. You have to pay yourself. So the 10 rupees per member per month which is created, and that should be exclusively used there. Training. And then cooperation amongst corporations. When I say cooperation amongst cooperatives, which means that all the funds, whatever the funds we have, surplus fund, we are supposed to keep in the cooperative banks. But you know what is the status of cooperative banks? Okay, and there is no guarantee of the fund. Therefore, if there is no A classification for the last 3 years of any of the state society or the district central cooperative bank, Mumbai district central cooperative bank, I think they have A grade, but Maharashtra state cooperative bank, they don't have the A grade. So Maharashtra state cooperative you need not keep. Mumbai district you have to keep. Suppose Mumbai district also, if it comes in B grade for any reason, then you are permitted to keep either in the A grade having cooperative banks or even in the national banks. So that permission, new circular has come. So again it is a part of autonomy, which I was saying that though there is a cooperation among cooperatives, it is not that only fund has to be deposited. Cooperation among cooperatives means there is a taluka level federation, you understand taluka level, and then taluka, then district level cooperatives, there is a federation, and then district to state, from this to national. So the way I am talking about, there is every ward wise there can be a cooperative housing society federation, because that is a type of society where there has to be cooperation amongst cooperatives, which means there cannot be any type of competition each other. See, if there is a consumer store in one ward, another consumer society is there in the same ward, they cannot compete each other. There cannot be competition. Instead, in same taluka, whatever consumer societies are there, they will have a consumer societies federation, taluka wise. Then all talukas in the district will have district level consumer society federation. Then all the districts of the state will have the state level consumer societies. And then there will be national level. Same way banks. So there cannot be competition among the cooperatives. There has to be cooperations. That is another principle. Therefore you find that they will see another society, they will say, are you a member of another society? Where are your membership? What is the facility you have enjoyed? So you are required to give an undertaking even to the housing society. Are you a member of another society in the nearby area? So that is how that cooperation among cooperatives is another principle. Then training. And last is concern for community. You have to always have a concern for community. Now, how you will have the consent for community? That is only through the legislation. Now, cooperative. So, therefore, if you see the act, who are the people, economically weaker people, or so therefore, in a housing society, you have found that there are three reserve categories. They have brought. So, according to the constitution or according to the state policy, let us not talk about the grassroots housing society. In a housing society where they have got a flat, they are economically good. But when we look at the consumer society, when you look at the sugar, you look at the farming, you look at the dairy, and you look at the other setup. So it's a combination of private and public sector. So therefore, to have a concern for a community, the reserve category has been mentioned. So there are three categories which are mentioned. Now you may say that in our society there is no scheduled caste, no scheduled tribe, there is nothing. Fine, that can be kept out, vacant. So you don't have to fill up. And similarly, you have for the women. Women also there has to be participation. Therefore, 2 seats have been reserved for them. So that is how the concern for community and other developmental funds, and then of course you get a lot of aids from the government. This is how all the 7 principles have been tried to incorporate.